we are.
This meeting is being recorded.
So welcome to the supporters update. This is February 2023 already. This evening, we're joined by myself, Debs McCahon, the Chief Exec of Woodcraft Folk. And I'm also joined by one of the General Council members, Delilah. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Delilah. I use she or they pronouns and I am the chair of DF committee and I'm also on General Council.
Thank you. And can I ask people to mute themselves when they're not talking, because I seem to have a bit of an echo. So the session aims really, as with all of the quarterly updates, and we've been doing these now since the summer of 2020, is to keep all members and supporters updated with what's happening across the folk. We want to try and enthuse you. So we're going to share good news and we're going to share ways that you can increase your involvement in the organisation, whether or not that's through our camps, our projects, our centres or groups. We also welcome your feedback and suggestions and ideas. So as I've already said, you're welcome to interrupt us with questions or to give us some comments on the things that we share. And occasionally I might ask you for some feedback. So I'm aware that later I'm going to talk about Cudham, and I feel that Kevin, who's joining us this evening, has been there more recently than I, and therefore may have something to share. So there's a pre-warning, Kevin, that I probably will ask. So tonight we're going to look at new groups and new partnerships, a bit about some staffing news, as we have some staff returning and some new staff, and we've just launched a couple of recruitments. I have centre news, a big thank you about the Christmas challenge. Delilah will update us with all the things to do with the DF network, and we will end with a little bit about events and opportunities for you to be involved, as well as how you can help with the folk. So I'm going to hand over to Delilah briefly.
Starting with groups. Yeah, sorry, I know my computer echoes, so I just was muting myself before. So Woodcraft Folk are delighted to welcome new groups to the movement. Since our last update, we've seen groups open in Bromley, Hastings, Plymouth and Manchester. And there's also additional development work to open new groups in Argyll, Exeter, Norfolk, Penzance and Lancaster. So yeah, that's really great. The next thing is the bereavement toolkit. So this is following on from funding from the Co-op Foundation. The Woodcraft Folk have produced a bereavement toolkit for use in a youth work setting. This project was designed in response to venturers sharing their concerns about a lack of support for them in dealing with bereavement, especially as a result of suicide. And yeah, it's really amazing. And I'm just sending the link in the chat now if you want to see some more information about that.
Thanks, Delilah. Like I said, that's the work of Lauren Carstat, one of our development officers, who worked in partnership with a team of venturers and the Kite Trust. We've shared that throughout the Co-op Academy Trust schools as well, through UK Youth and with the Co-op Funeral Care. So it's getting quite a lot of coverage. And if you feel that your group could benefit from it, have a look. It's in the programme area of the website. And then I'm going to tell you a bit about some new partnerships. So we are delighted to start a new 5-year partnership with a charity called Free to Be Kids. Free to Be Kids will be using Cudham as their residential centre, and they provide residentials throughout the school holiday periods, targeting young people across London, particularly young people who experience disadvantage, such as those young people whose parents have been affected by addiction. We're really delighted about Free to Be Kids. We first met them during the COVID restriction periods, and we were working together to identify how we could do residentials in a COVID safe manner when they were beginning to be permitted in 2021. So we're delighted that they're going to be using Cudham for about 100 nights a year, which is a significant amount of time, and they are really looking forward to using the woodland area around Cudham to help use to sort of play and the nature for their therapeutic activities that they run. In a second, I'll talk about Cudham in more detail, and I will come back to you, Kevin. We're also, as an organisation, trying to go back to our cooperative roots. You'll have noticed that last year we moved our registered office to Co-ops UK. We've also started at the beginning of January a new partnership with Co-ops UK, where they become our human resources advisor. We have historically contracted a corporate HR advisor, but we felt that our ethics were more aligned with the cooperative sector, so it feels really nice to be doing that with Co-ops UK. We're also in the process of moving our insurance back to Co-op Insurance through the Specialist Risk Group, and we have just signed a new memorandum of understanding with the Co-op Group that secures the funding that they give to us on a national level to provide support to volunteers. So that's all really good news. Delilah, would you like to tell people about staff?
Yeah, I can do that. So this year we've welcomed some new staff to our team, including Alex Norman as the new Biblins Activities Coordinator. Alex will be coordinating adventurous and other activities to support groups to engage in the local area and stay on site longer. Also, with our centres team, we have Carmen Mallinson-Pollock, who took up the New to Nature trainee role at Lockabrook, which is part of a national initiative to support young people to enter the outdoor education workspace. I also know Carmen, and I know that they're having a really great time and are really enjoying that. So there's a bit of extra information. Beyond that, in our membership team, Rosie joins us on Friday as the new membership assistant, replacing Natalie, who left in January. And finally, Leanne returns this month from maternity leave, continuing her role in supporting groups, new groups and volunteers.
Hooray!
I'm glad you're all pleased. So yeah, no, Leanne has been off 12 months with her twins, but she returns this week. So drop her an email at leanne.powell@woodcraft.org.uk and welcome her back. You can carry on now.
Yeah, so Woodcraft Folk is also currently recruiting 2 staff to work at Lockabrook, a part-time general and domestic assistant and a centre manager, because Joe, the current centre manager, is moving on after 5 years in the role, and I'm also sending a link about that now in the chat.
Thanks very much, Delilah. So yeah, please share those vacancies because we're really keen to get the team back to full capacity there. So news, this is where Kevin, come and be my star. So following the work with 3 to Be Kids, we received a National Lottery fund to do some renovation work at Cudham, which has involved dividing the dormitory building into 2 halves so that we can better support small groups and large groups. There's been some refitting of the old bathrooms, which have been converted into bedrooms, and a very, I'm told, complicated but easy to use heating control system, which will enable us to heat the activity room separately from the dormitory room. So when you want to be snug in your bed, you're not heating an empty activity room. And Kevin has been one of the volunteers who's been working there. Kevin, is there anything that you want to tell us about it? Sorry, I've put you on the spot.
That's okay. I've met Rachel from 3 to Be Kids several times now, and she's really excited about it for their organisation. And on our behalf, I've been very excited about it as well. Walton folk are using the centre in a couple of weeks' time, so we will have first-hand experience of using the new dormitory and bathroom layout. So that's exciting for us. Dick and I are spending 2 or 3 days a week, most weeks, upgrading the electrical outlets and lighting, as is already stated. And the guys that are doing it are also related to Walton District as well. The builders are. So Walton have got a hand in Cudham again. So yes, it's all going very well, Debs.
I'm glad. Yeah, no, I've been getting regular updates from Tracy. I'm staying there in the middle of March too, I think just before you were there actually. So I'm looking forward to actually seeing it for real, but I've been being sent lots and lots of photographs in various stages of repair, but I'm really pleased about the partnership. I'm really pleased that it helps not only lots more children benefit from Cudham, but also supports the financial security of Cudham, as very soon it's about to celebrate 50 years as a Woodcraft Folk Centre next year. So we'll have to have a party. I mean, we'll have to have a party when the building works are finished, but we'll have to have a party next year too. Other centre type news, Lauren has been delivering camps for all across the country. She's just delivered a weekend at half term at Cudham, and there are now dates up for camps for all at every single centre. We first started doing these in October 2021 at Biblins, and they're designed for children who don't attend a typical group, although we do have some children who do attend Woodcraft Folk groups, but Woodcraft Folk groups who don't camp or don't go away very often, because some do exist. We've been really lucky to get some funding to provide bursaries to remove any financial barriers, and we've been working with some food banks in South London to engage their to the young people or families who access that service to come along to the Cudham events, and also working with the Co-op Academy Trust to get young people to attend the events that are closer to like Highgate and Lockerbrook, who are closer to the Co-op Academies in the Northwest and Yorkshire and Humber. I'm really pleased that participation in the Camps for All has been actually quite diverse. So about 21% of them have an additional support need. 6% of them are young carers, which was something we were surprised about, and 18% of them are people of colour. The Camps for All is something we're going to continue to do. We all know that camping is really important to people at Woodcraft Folk, so it's lovely to give other children and young people that opportunity. And one more thing from me until I hand back over to Delilah is about the Christmas challenge. So our last update at the very end of November was all about the Christmas challenge, and we were delighted to raise over £18,000 through that campaign with support from individuals as well as a number of trade unions. So this is a big thank you to everybody who donated. So of that 18,000, some of that has been used to, well, will be used to support VCamp, which is taking place this August at Biblins. Each of the centres has been given a small budget to support activity weekends, so like the Elfin Sleepover at Cudham, the Pioneer Activity Weekend at Biblins, or the Venture Woodland Weekend, which is taking place at Cudham in April. And there's about £7,000 that we've used for local residentials, largely at Cudham actually, and some more money to pay for some volunteer training. Next month, we will be relaunching an updated version of the Have a Good Weekend guide with advice and guidance on everything to do with managing extreme weather, as we have seen groups camping with temperatures reaching nearly 40 degrees, dealing with wind, which we experienced at Common Ground, as well as all the necessary safeguarding programme, looking at how do we manage our food and top tips and advice. So look out for that guide coming out next month. Delilah, back over to you.
Yeah, so Debs has kind of this year started to return back to normal after COVID. We had a few camps over the last few years, but the weekend before last was our first in-person business meeting since 2019. So you can see a picture of us here. We visited Manchester Museum. So that was really exciting. So at Northwest Thing, which was the in-person one, we started to discuss kind of Debs and link up with Woodcraft and the strategic plan for Woodcraft, but also encouraging DFs to think about a strategic plan for themselves and what kind of things they want to be doing over the next couple of years. We also discussed ways to improve communications, because DFs has over the last few years been decreasing in size, and we want to try and, through VCamp and other things, get better communications, which we're not always the best at doing. So hopefully that will be something that will improve. We're also, it's quite exciting, we're going to have a Spring Awakening in Scotland at the beginning of April, and possibly also some training events around then. And we also have DF camp in the summer and another in-person thing in London in June, though we changed the dates of that once, and we might have to do so again, because and a bit of exciting news that recently was that we got Workers Beer got back in contact with us, so we may be able to be doing Workers Beer this summer. And currently our summer thing dates clash with Glastonbury, so that we may have to change them again. But it's very exciting, because that would mean we then have we would then have access to more money and to do a lot of the things we want to do about making our camps more accessible for more people, so people can come along to them.
That is exciting. It's been a number of years since DFs did Workers Beer, so that would be good news. Excellent. Thank you, Delilah. I'm going to tell you a little bit about events. So this is an encouragement to engage in the regions, and a reminder that Woodcraft Folks calendar is available on our website. So please do take a look at it. It'll tell you about when the next supporters update, but it will also tell you about the London gathering, which is taking place on Sunday, the Southeast gathering, which is taking place in Brighton in the middle of March, as well as the new volunteer induction sessions, which are taking place online once a month, being delivered by our membership and programmes team. So if any of you know some new volunteers or volunteers who might need a bit of a refresher, send them to the volunteer induction sessions. At Highgate, at the very end of March, early April, we have some young people who took part in an international project looking at youth leadership, who will be delivering young leader training. So if you know any young people under the age of 25 who would be interested in training about how to run group activities, please send them up to Highgate for that very first weekend of what is for most people the Easter holidays. And then the other date I'm going to share with you today is our AGM, which is taking place on the 10th of August. It will be a hybrid event, so people will be able to join online or in person at VCamp. If you are a group and district contact, you will have received an email from me today asking you to indicate how you think you might attend, just so that we can do some planning and help with the logistics. So as always, have a look at the calendar page of the website for events that will interest you. You can search them by type, both in terms of region and whether or not they're training or social events. But I'm really pleased to say that we're also having Venture Camp this summer. So as I mentioned, it's at Biblins. It'll be from the 5th to the 12th of August. We will be inviting both venture groups and venturers. We are taking a slightly broader age range, up to 13 to 17-year-olds, partly to reflect and to recognise that there are some venturers who, due to COVID, have missed out on a VCamp experience. And we're also welcoming a few international delegations to come and join us for the week, and we have 10 international volunteers who are signed up to join us for 3 weeks, so a week to help set up the camp, a week to enjoy the camp, and a week to help take it back down again at the end. Now the team are keen to encourage more volunteers, so if you feel that you might be able to help with communications or with merchandise and running the camp shop, we would love to hear from you. The volunteer wellbeing team is also keen to hear from other potential volunteers, and we are currently consulting the venturers about their programme preferences, and we will soon be advertising those and looking for people to help contribute workshops and activities. So the next VCamp Roadshow is taking place on the 5th of March in London. Representatives will also go to the South East Regional Gathering, and then there's an event in the calendar for the 26th of March in Manchester. Consultation events have already happened in Scotland and the Eastern region. And if you were wondering, the theme for this year is mythology, hence why this beautiful logo that has been designed and won the logo competition over the Christmas period. The other big camp news is Camp 100. Delilah, would you like to tell us about Camp 100?
Yeah, so Camp 100 is going to be taking place from the 27th of July to the 6th of August 2025 at Kelmash Hall. The focus is going to be on the next 100 years, and it's going to be launched later in the spring. And volunteers are wanted to support accessibility program and safeguarding. But also this past weekend, we had a really great planning meeting that I was able to attend. And yeah, things are going really well. We're reviewing what can be learned from Common Ground, and we're invested in making improvements to accessibility and volunteer wellbeing. I'm on the volunteer support team, and we're hoping to make sure that everybody can have a day off and to really make sure it's part of just the standard practice that people feel that they're able and comfortable to not get burnt out. So yeah, it's really exciting, and it was a really great time meeting everybody, well, a few of the people who are helping organise. So yeah, it's very exciting.
And then there are a few other events, not quite in the diary, but there's a commitment to continue the typical 3-year rolling structure for VCamps. So look out for VCamps in 2026 and 2029, which already begins to make me feel old. And we have already started to have conversations trying to identify an organising team for an international camp in 2030. There is a very small group of people at the moment who are beginning to look at alternative sites so that they can make a decision about where would be the best place to host it. And following on from the AGM in 2019, we will be returning to the idea of a pioneer camp and consulting with pioneers and pioneer leaders about whether or not there should be a national pioneer camp. At the 2019 AGM, there was a motion from a pioneer group asking for such a camp. COVID and everything else has rather got in the way. And I'm aware at the time there were some pioneer leaders who thought a national camp was not a good idea, but we're going to return to that consultation and see how people feel about it now as we head into 2023. Delilah, would you like to tell people how they can help?
Yeah. So a number of different ways that you can support the Woodcraft folk. Some are as simple as liking or sharing our social media posts on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. It would also be really great if you could share the Lockerbrook vacancies, which are the second link that I sent in the chat. We would welcome additional volunteers to support our camp activities or centre network. Cudham hosts volunteers every Wednesday and Biblins on the first Friday of the month. It's a really great way to make friends, contribute, and still return to your own bed at the end of the day. We would also like to encourage as many trade union branches to affiliate to Woodcraft folk as possible. If you think you could help with this, please contact CC if you're a member of a union and think that might be interested in supporting our work. I'll just send CC's email now in the chat. Also, look out for Friends of the Folk emails as we launch this supporter experience. And we'll be asking you for your help in encouraging as many people as possible to join and make a regular donation to Woodcraft Folk.
Thank you, Delilah. And then the last thing that maybe you might be interested in either benefiting from or helping, we are looking to recruit a team of what we're calling group builders to help rebuild groups, to make groups grow. We recognise that volunteers who are running local groups are busy running local groups, and therefore the extra demand of recruiting and inducting new volunteers or doing outreach to recruit families can be a stretch too far. So in some places we've been fortunate enough to attract some funding, and we've just received some funding from Nature England to pay a team of, I'm going to call them young, they're aged between 25 and 30, so they're young as far as I'm concerned, young leaders to facilitate a residential for some of our new groups. So our new groups from Old Trafford, from Chesterfield and Glossop will have their hands held through their first Woodcraft Folk residential as the young leaders take responsibility for programme planning and for being the KP and modelling what a really good Woodcraft Folk residential looks like. I will be writing out to all the group and district contacts about group builders, and you might see adverts asking people to volunteer or to apply for some sessional work to take on very short-term and very specific tasks to add capacity to our groups to help them to grow. So this is an exciting pilot that we're going to be rolling out. Now, we've largely come to the end of our session. So if you have any questions for Delilah and I, by all means, please ask them. If you'd rather wait for me to turn off the recording, you can wait 30 seconds whilst we tell you about the next supporters update, which will be taking place on the 16th of May. So the same day, the same time, just a few months' time. This one will be a centre special, and it will be delivered by Felix Pepler, our new head of centres, and he'll be able to tell you about the final renovations at Cudham and our plans for growing activity at our centres, and introduce you to the new staff that by then we will have recruited for Lockerbrook. So I'm just going to stop the recording now. So thank you for coming. And then if you have any questions, you can ask us after the recording.